Today we will discuss about the pressure, and my name is Vidyanand Kesti. First we will understand why the pressure will create the inside the container or inside the vessel or inside the glass. It is because of the molecular movements. Molecules are moved from one place to other place, and this movement is caused the pressure inside a container. So that what we tell about the force is exerting on unit area or thrust is exerting on unit area. This is nothing but the pressure. The pressure is defined as force or the thrust per unit area is called as pressure. If you take one glass jar and suppose if you close it with something or if you open it, there is the molecular movement inside the glass jar or the glass. So this molecule movement or creating a force or the thrust per unit area that will automatically create the pressure inside the vessel. Suppose we take an example of a beer in the bottle. The beer in the bottle is created the molecular movement. That molecular movement or continuously hitting wall and there is the collision in the molecules or just the movement. This all creates a thrust, and if you calculate that thrust per unit area, then we can easily calculate the pressure. So that usually we call it as the force is exerting or the thrust is exerting per unit area is a pressure. So in mathematically speaking, P is equal to F by A. F is the force or a thrust and A is the unit area. I will take one example how the relation between F and A with respect to pressure. Suppose I want to hit a nail in a wood. What I will do, I will take a nail and where is the small or the sharp area, I kept it on the wood on the top, so we can call it as the nail head. We will hit with the help of the hammer. That hitting is a force or a thrust, and that force or a thrust is coming on the unit area where the area is very small. So in that time the pressure is required in the less amount, because you can see that P is equal to F by A. A is in dividing stage on denominator. So that reason, if you A is decreases, so your pressure is increases. So that in that sense, suppose if I put a nail in other way, I kept head in the down on the wood surface and hitting on the nail with the sharp face. If I am hitting on that, here the area is more. If the area is more, then what will happen? I required more force to be inserted. So that reason that person is standing away from the nail and he is hitting on the sharp, but it is not entering. And after putting lot of the energy, maybe it will enter, but our work done is required as more because of area. So that's the beauty of the force and the area relations with respect to pressure. So that reason P is equal to F by A. Our area is reduces, then the pressure required is very less to insert. If the area is more, so then it is very difficult to get the required pressure. Some of the example you can take it is a train or the military equipments. So if you see that cleanly, It's the rotating component, but this we call it as a chain or the roller or something. They put a small extruded surface on the top. It is not completely uniform shape. Here it easily understand that the surface contact is very less. If the surface contact is very less, then this will not be go deeper inside the sand or the loose mud area. If the surface contact is very less, so it can be easily move and the fastly it can be moved. For that, work done or energy is required very less. Second example, if you take the tractor wheels, this also extruded. So this is also one of the advantage where the area is less compared to the surface of the tire. So this will be help us or help the tractor driver to get more work and without inserting inside the sand. If it is a uniform shape or the smooth surface, then it will not be help to him. But if you are extruded, then it will have very less contact to the surface of the mud or the earth, so it will not be go inside or the deeper into the mud area. And one of the beauty example of the kitchen item, usually the teeth or the double surface knife. In this one surface they made it as like a teeth surface. If it is a teeth surface, so you can easily insert inside the fruits, so you can easily cut because the less contact surface area. And when we are in the childhood, we see such type of the magics on the street or in the festival time. So the person can easily walk on the nail with the bare feet. He can even sleep on the sand and sit on the nails. That time it was the surprising, because if you know the physics of the pressure, then you can easily understand how the relation is the P is equal to F by A. You can see that the nails, or if you see the surface of the nails, it is in the uniform shape. Maybe they are the sharper, but if you take the surface area completely of these multiple nails, it is more. So if a person sit on this, so that his load or his weight will be uniformly distributed to all the nails. So they'll take care about the surface. If the one nail comes up, then maybe it will be injury to him. But they are taking care about all the nail surface should be on the one plane. So that reason they can sit, they can walk and they can sleep, but it will not to hurt them because of the area is more. If we see a smaller nail and we feel that it is a smaller surface, but if you take the group of the nails, it is a larger surface. So this is the one more the beauty of P is equal to F by A. And if you see I saw one of the example in one of the mall. This was made by the glass floor. They written easily, elephant can walk, but high-heeled shoe lady cannot walk. What it means, if you see that, the two example, one lady is wearing the high-heeled shoes, it's a pointed shoes. She cannot walk on the smooth glass surface, but the elephant can easily walk. They allow the elephant. But how come? You can see the surface of elephant leg is more compared to the pointed shoe. So this pointed shoe can easily break it. But elephant leg is more area, so it will not be break the glass floor. That's beauty. And if you see that You can walk on eggs. If you kept all the eggs on the same in the same plane, you can easily walk. And even, my dear friends, you can see the beauty of God. If we see them, our feet, or the palm of the feet, it is how they say. They say, if it is a flat, our legs are the flat, then it is very difficult. But because the more surface contact, here you can see that the points are the very some points are contacting to the earth surface. So that reason we can easily stand on the leg. So but you can walk on the egg. Egg will not break, but it is on your own risk. You can try it in home. Okay, my dear friends, after discussing about the pressure having the enormous of the requirement in the fluid dynamics. But how our old people, the ancient people, they worked on it. How they enjoyed this formula P is equal to F by, how they know that and how they work on it, so that we can go as a tour with the help of some of the history. I'll take the example of the Rome city. It's a very beautiful city in the world in that days, because a lot of the scientists are staying that some BC, and they want to design a tank. By that tank, they want to make a fountain in the garden. The intention is everything should be automatically work. They can take water from canals or channels and they can store it. After that, they'll move to with the help of the small pipe, they'll make a fountain in the garden. And by this, they thought that maybe our king will become very happy and maybe he will award us. All the scientists, they think, and very great people, they design this. You see that the sun flow is coming from the canals, or you can say that something from the underground, and they rise and they collect it, and slowly you can see the second pictures, they are moving with the different channels. It was a great design. But for that, they want to make a tank construction. How they made the tank construction? And even nowadays also they use the same methodology to make or to build the tank construction. If suppose one person comes and says that I want to store this 10,000 liters of water, then how much land I can dig, and what is my width, and what is my length, and what is my depth, these all are required. Then how they calculate? The same methodology we also follow nowadays. So suppose I take the 200 centimeter, so I'm using the centimeter, and here 150 centimeter as a height, and length is around 300 centimeter. I want to design it. Then afterwards maybe I can find out how much of the water it will be stored. I will take it as a second example. First I'll take it as main interested is the pressure. Suppose if I taken as a 200 centimeter width, the length of 300 centimeter, height of 150 centimeter, then how I can design. So what is my capacity of the container, and what is the volume of the container, how much of the water it will be stored. These all things are required to calculate. Suppose if I want to calculate the volume of the container, you know that it is base area into height of the container. So usually be called as centimeter cube, cubic cc, or meter cube, mm cube. This all comes in the cubic. So that reason, if you take the base area, this is meter square or centimeter square, into height of the container is centimeter or meter. So if you please mix all, then you will get the meter cube or centimeter cube. Then what is the capacity of the container? If you want to calculate, just take the base area. Base area is 300 into width. So 300 is the length and width is 200. This is the area and height is 150 centimeter. So total is 9000 centimeter cube what I constructed as a tank. So this is the total capacity of the tank if I taken this much of the dimensions. Suppose my area is constant, I have to be constructing between 200, 300, 150, then our capacity will get the 9,000 or 90,000 centimeter cube. Or you can convert into the liters, it will comes around 90 liters. Okay. Then volume of the water is into base area height of the OD of the water level. Okay, this is what I am seeing, that the first is the capacity of the tank or the container. This much of water I can hold it, but sometimes I am not able to fill that much of the level. So after some level I will stop this, otherwise I can take it as a overflow or something. So better I want to make it as what is the volume of the water. If I tank is completely filled, then it will give us a 90 liters, not a problem. But if the level is coming down, then what is the my water content or the volume of the water is stored here. So suppose if you think that, so water is stored in 120 centimeter instead of the 150. If you calculate 90 liters, then if it's come down to the 120 centimeter, then it will give 72,000 centimeter cube, so almost 72 liters. Now the water is inside the tank. But I want to construct it in the first floor. Then what is the weight of the tank? This is also important. If I can design and I thought that okay, the capacity of the container is sufficient for me, and now the water level is what maintained is also sufficient for me, but what is the weight is coming on my floor is also very, very important. So that reason I think we will go to the load on the surface. So this we can get with the help of our famous scientist Archimedes, with the help of his density. So density, we know that rho is equal to mass by volume, and the density of the cement. First I'll take only the cement weight. Empty tank, what is the weight of the empty tank? So empty tank, if I take the density of the cement is 1550 kg per meter cube. So mass I don't know. Then if I click volume I convert centimeter to meter, it is 3 into 2 into 1.5. Then this mass comes around 1550 into 9. If you multiply it, then you will get something around the mass is 13,950. Wow, it is easy to calculate. But just you can think that it is not a solid. If I solid, I can accept this formula. But tank is hollow inside. It is made a gap or a cavity inside. If you are completely solid, if it is tank is filled with a cement, then it will come around 13,950. Okay, almost this 13 tons of the weight, or yeah, that much of the ton of the weight it will become on the 1.3 tons is coming on my floor. It's too much. Then my calculation may be wrong. So I can take that thickness of the cement block is 10 centimeters. So I will take it as 0.1 mm in all the slides. So now it's correctly I am doing it. So I will subtract this 0.2, because 0.2, why I took the 0.2 is the 0.1 meter is the one side and it is in the both side. So 3 minus 0.2, 2 into 0.2 and 1.5 to 0.2. So it is area volume comes around it. Sorry, it is a volume. It is 1.3 meter cube. So now if I calculate the same equation, So mass is equal to 1550 into 1.3. So density into volume, it comes around 2015 kg. 2015 kg, I think, is very less and pretty okay for me to the construct. So now you understand how we can calculate even completely solid. And suppose if you remove the material inside, what is the mass is coming is 2015. You can see that how we have reduced the weight by removing the material inside, maintaining a thickness. And mass I put as a weight in the earth. Mass and weight, we feel it both are the same. So now I want to calculate what is the load is coming on the surface. So load is coming on the surface is 335 kg per square area. This much of the load is coming on the unit surface area. Suppose sometimes it is required to calculate what is the 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter in one tiles. I want to know the pressure, so you can divide into the base area. That will give the load, that is the weight per square area. So now after the calculation of everything, they designed the tiles. Okay, this much of the pressure is okay for us, and they calculated the weight or the mass of the tank is also okay for them, and what is the water holding capacity is also 72 liters. This is also sufficient for them. After making all the basics ideas, now they are making to go for the natural water fountain. When you see the natural water fountains in the olden days, they don't have any pump. Only with the help of the naturally it can be come out, and it shows the something like the fountain. To design this, king give the order to make it and do whatever things you want. You can take it and start the construction. And they show that okay, we construct the tank and we'll construct the pipelines and we'll make one of the beautiful fountain. King give the order to them, and they give the whatever they required to them. And all three people, they thought that okay, king given the order to us, and these three people, they are start designing of fountain. When they design the fountain, they are surprised. Water level is only rising 10 meter. Up to the less than the 10 meter, they can able to see the fountain. But if the pipe is extended, the height of the pipe is little bit, they are going more than 10 or 11, the water is not coming out of the pipe. Only if they go less than the 10 meter, they can easily see the fountain, the flow is coming from the pipe. Then all are shocked. What is this? And how we can explain to king? We don't know about this. We constructed the tank, we constructed everything, we constructed the pipeline, we made the garden, but with the help of this small tube, and we are planning to make a great fountain, natural fountain, but it is not possible now. Then they thought that okay, what to do now? This is really miracle for us. More than 10 meter. No, even if I taken as very small diameter of the pipe, no, it is not possible. Then they went to meet one of the great scientists called Galileo Galilei. It happens he born on 5th February 1564 Galileo, and he died on 8th January 1642. One of the great scientists that days, and nowadays also is all the ways physics formulas that nowadays also it is very helpful to us. And they thought that okay, we will meet that great man Galileo, and we'll ask that why water is only can rise 10 meters. Above that, why not able to rise? And what to do, how to design, how to convince our king. After that, they met. Why they met the Galileo is very important. Galileo was a great scientist. That he told that if you stand on side of the Pisa, this one door, and you throw one small iron ball and one small aluminum or any lighter than the iron, if you throw to the ground, both will be reached on the same time, and in the bracket he put that there is no obstruction. But if you practice, if you see it in any, if you go to the higher tower or something, if you throw two balls, one made with the iron and one made with the aluminum, if you throw the two balls, but the two balls are not reached at the same time on the earth. Even he say that if you take the one iron ball and one feather, very light feather of a bird, if you throw it, and they will be reach a ground in the same time. Where is the iron ball and where is the feather? But even in the bracket he told that if there is no obstruction. But nowadays in many scientific way they proved that okay, what the Galileo told in 16th century, now it is also working. That day these all the concept is given by the Galileo, and that was a great scientist, and he studied a lot of the solved a lot of the problems on planetaries. So that reason they all plan to meet Galileo, and Galileo shows the one of the experiment why you are not able to rise a water more than 10 meter. He shows that, see that. He inserted a filled glass tube, very small diameter, into the small tub or small pot which is also contain the water, and slowly water will be rise and it will be stopped at one point. That point from this surface to this point is 10 meter. And show that here also we can rise only 10 meter. And even he showed the different experiments when he took the tube, and even he made the different shape on the top. Then also water will rise only 10 meter. Then these people, those are coming from the Rome, they again the surprise, oh my god, what happened this? Even Galileo also showing the same experiment with us, but we are asking that what is the reason why you are not able to rise more than 10 meter? And Galileo said that, see man, it is because of the vacuum. Vacuum is there on the top. This vacuum is not allowed to come up. Then what is the vacuum? Then he said that vacuum is a pressure where there is no molecule movements. That area to create the pressure is called as vacuum pressure, and vacuum pressure is lesser than atmospheric pressure. We know that, but that time he told that only the vacuum pressure where there is no movement of the molecules. If there is no movement of the molecules, there is no pressure exerted. Because of this vacuum, we are not able to rise 10 meter. And to explain to them what is the vacuum, he showed that one of that time electrical bell, or you can take the one small bell and if you put inside a glass jar, and you can easily hear the electrical bell noise. But when you start removing the air from the glass jar, you are not able to hear the electrical bell noise, because the sound is also required a media. The media is the molecules. But if you are removing, if you are creating the vacuum, means there is no molecules, then there is no molecules, there is no pressure, there is no transfer of the sound. Then what they understand? And Galileo showed, oh, because of this vacuum or void present in the atmosphere. And after that, they thought that okay, because it's a vacuum, and the people coming from the Rome, they say that okay, it's because of the vacuum, and vacuum and vacuum, they went to the Rome. But is it actually the truth? And Galileo was very happy. He kept his instrument on entrance of his laboratory, and this is confusing to everyone, but Till why it is only rising 10 meter, nobody can give the answer for that. And there's someone have to be crack his head to understand this. And one should be think in differently. Then only you can understand what actually meaning of the 10-meter rise. And one fine day, his student Torselli is coming next to the equipment or instrument, and he thought that something is different than the vacuum. Why? The only water we can rise 10 meter. And he thought in a different way. He called Galileo and said that, okay, if it is a vacuum, because of the vacuum only we can saying that 10 meter rise. But his question is, Torselli's question is, how it rise the 10 meter? You leave is the secondary, where vacuum is, because of the vacuum you cannot able to rise 10 meter. But the first question is, how a water or a liquid rise inside the tube? Means some pressure is required to push it downward. Because of the downward pushing, the flow should be taken place inside the tube, and automatically it will be rise. Maybe because of this is the air pressure. Okay, that's a good idea. What the Torselli shown to Galileo, and Torselli was a great scientist, and even he took a mercury also and different liquid, and he showed that water will be rise not because of the air pressure. Okay, that was interesting. And Torselli was born on 15th October in Rome, Italy in 1608, and died on 25th October 1647. I think he died in 39 years. He stayed in this earth in 39 years. Such a great man. And even he showed that if you say the same methodology what Galileo shows us with the different head, even if you take the different head also, this behavior will be same. And even he showed the different shapes also, they will rising only 10 meter. It is because of the air pressure is acting on the surface of the water. That's what he is given the conclusion. After his conclusion, he created the barometer, and in the barometer we can see that he dipped a filled tube inside the mercury, and mercury is raised 760 mm. And he even here shows that this rise is because of the atmospheric pressure, and it can be raised plus or minus 760 mm. So that days, in the 1644, he showed the only we can rise up the 760 mm of mercury, and this is because of the pressure is acting on the mercury. And in that he clearly showed that on the water surface there is air pressure. Air pressure means it is the atmospheric pressure, because he kept inside the inside the atmospheric area. So atmospheric pressure or force is pushing down, and automatically the mercury will be rising. This is same phenomena is happening in the water also. But nowadays, after 2007, mercury manometer are stopped. So if you want to actually measure, a lot of the digital equipments are there available, or you can go for the water manometer. Okay, so before going to this, I'll just check that Torselli barometer showed accurately measured the atmospheric pressure. So because of the atmospheric pressure there is a rise. But I already told that they stopped the mercury. There are the two questions for me. So one question, I think one question is gives the answer to the second question. So first question is, up to what height you can suck? Suppose if I give the one Pepsi or Coca-Cola or any drinking thing, you can give the smaller diameter straw, so you can suck with the help of your mouth. But I can give a longer straw. And up to what height you can suck? 5 meter, 10 meter, 1 floor building, 2 floor building. So if I kept one glass of the Pepsi on the first floor, can you able to suck from the second floor, or can you able to suck from the third floor? This is a beautiful question. If you understand this, I think you have to go more clear on the two things, up to what height you can suck. So in this case, I think I'll again go back to this equation. So if you take the pressure and your height is a very important parameter, what Torshall also showed to us. So I'll just ping a question to you. You can think it. In that meantime, again we will go to the second step. So this is the one of the beautiful example of the pressure. Pressure is depending on the height. You can see that if you punch a hole on the bottom, it will travel in the more distance. If you punch the hole on the top, it will travel the less distance, because of the water or the liquid is in that height. Okay, so you can see the second animation. So however the level is coming down, the jet, the point is coming closer to the tank. Okay, this is the one phenomena. It means we understand there is somehow the relation between height and the pressure. So I think I'll move to the next part. So he showed that, okay, Torshall showed that there is a relation between this height and the pressure. So I asked the two questions. One question is up to what height you can suck, and second question is, if instead of the mercury, if I use the water barometer, what will be the changes? So if you understand that, I think you will do one thing. So he told that, so the pressure P is equal to rho and G and H. Pressure is equal to rho G H. So this is equal to, what is the rho? Rho is the density. Rho is the density of mercury. I'll take the density of the mercury. This is nothing but it is 13.6 times the water density. So I can easily remember what the water density is 1000. So it is 13 times heavier than the water, and if you take the acceleration due to gravity is 9.81, and what is the height? Height is 760, so I can convert into meter, so it is 0.760. So if it will calculate this, you will get the value called as 101.325 Pascal. So what do you know about this? This is called as the atmospheric pressure. So when you can make it into the bar is a 1 bar. So instead of this, if you use the water, then what will happen? So I'll remove this. So then it is 1000 into 9.81 into, I don't know the height of this, so that I have to calculate. This is unknown for me. So my equation is P is equal to rho gh, but I know the pressure now. So now that my pressure is 101,325 Pascal is equal to rho. The rho is density, so I can take it as 1,000 and into 9.81 into 9.81, and I don't know the h. I'll keep it as h as it is. So if you calculate, then you will get h is equal to 10.1 meters. Means if you want to use water barometer, then you should get 10 meter of the pipe. So now it is something around close to 800 mm, but if you want to make a water barometer required, the 10 meter, so from here to measure, if it is becomes a 10 meter height pipe is required. One question. Second, so I asked that up to what height you can suck. So now you easily understand by this equation only 10 meter you can suck if you maintain atmospheric pressure with a small diameter of the straw. Okay, so all these questions gives us a great idea to us. And next, a great man in the world, if you seeing the photo you can realize that Pascal. And Pascal is say that, and he took over after the death of Torricelli. Torricelli suffered a very high fever and he died. And it get the news to Pascal also. And Pascal born in 19th June 1623, and he also died in 19th August 1662. And he studied all the Torricelli methodology for measuring the atmospheric pressure. And he already understood that, okay, the mercury barometer is working properly. But now everybody know that Torricelli designed the barometer. So that reason he want to make all his experiment in front of the people, not in the closed room. Because whatever now he want to design or now to invent, it should be on the top of the Torricelli. So the people should not be tell that okay it is a copy of Torricelli. So that reason he kept outside his own experiment and doing in front of the people. And he showed that how water is rising inside the tube. And even he took a wine also instead of the mercury. He showed that the wine is also rising, but it is not rising at the sun up to the mark because the density of the wine is less. It is falling down. And he measured inside the city, and 1648 that time he started measuring, and he thought that okay, if you measure on the hill station, on the mountain, on the top surface area, is it a change or not? But he don't know that. And what he did, he called all the people and his students, everybody, they go on the top of the hill and they measure the same instrument of the barometer, but barometers fall down. And it's showing a very lesser height. And they understand that if you are going to higher surface above the earth, you are getting the lesser atmospheric pressure. So that time they proved it. And if you seeing the atmospheric pressure, so if you see the atmospheric pressure on the sea level, so this is atmospheric level, and if you are going above, and it is the decrease of the air pressure because of the molecular density is also less on the top surface, is more dense in the earth surface. So if you are going away from the earth, the air pressure or the atmospheric pressure is falling down. So if you beautifully, the graph shows that, so if it is the height is more, the pressure drop will be less than what it shows. The pressure changes with respect to the altitude. This is what the idea given by the Pascal on the top of the Torricelli. Use the same instrument, but you measured in the different area and show that okay, the altitude changes with respect to pressure is also changed with respect to altitude. That what he showed. And now they got the solution from people, and they understand that because of the atmospheric pressure on the earth, we can get the 10 meter of for the natural fountain. If you want to make more height, then you have to rise a tank height, or you can keep the tank height in the first instead of the ground floor. If you put the ground floor in the tank and you're making the fountain, I think only 10.1 meter it can be rise. If you want to more rise, you can take it to the upper level. That's what they got the solution. And one fine day, after giving all the solution to the problem of the Rome and the people that designing the fountain, Pascal sitting in the lab, and suddenly the barometer pressure is slowly coming down. And I understand why it is coming down from 760 meters, 740, 36. Why it is coming down? And when he suddenly come out, then the clouds start forming. And after the cloud forming, and start the raining. Then he understands that, oh, if the clouds are the forming, the atmosphere pressure comes down. When the atmosphere pressure comes down, then we can understand that, okay, today it will be rain. And this barometer or meteorology is help to forecasting our atmospheric level, forecasting the weather conditions. And this, why it will happen like this? Maybe the cloud, because of the cloud forming pressure will be fall down. Because increase the temperature of the air, the kinetic energy of the air molecule rise. So air starts moving. When the air starts moving, fall in the pressure down. This fall in the pressure down, this will be cause the cloud formation. The cloud formation, the forecasting, we can say that it will be rain today. Okay, after seeing all the meteorology, I think we will go more deeper into the atmospheric level, and usually we call it as Pascal to measuring the instrument, measuring the pressure. Usually we kept his we talk in the Pascal bar, but Pascal is the name of the scientist, so after his death they named it as Pascal. So Pascal, it says that 1 Pascal is equal to 1 force divided by unit area. So that is P is equal to F by A. It comes under force is in Newton and area is in meter square. Newton per meter square is a Pascal. Okay. After this, again, I think we will go back to the world calculation. We all calculated this, all the calculation. So the hollow tank with the 2015 kg, and this is what is called as the empty tank. And what is then the pressure is coming on the surface, and what we want to measure. So we want to measure that. So the equation is P is equal to F by A. So P is equal to, how to calculate, F is equal to mass into acceleration due to gravity and divided by area. So mass is 13,950 if it is tank is solid. Then you will go to the extreme end and you multiply 9.8, then divide by the area. Then the pressure will be 22,808 Newton per meter square, or this much of the Pascal is continuously coming on the floor. So if you divide by 10 raised to 5 is 0.2 bar, is pressure is completely pushing down the to the floor. Suppose, so if I taken the extreme, suppose if I taken as actually the tank construction, if you make hollow of the tank, then you can give P is equal to 2015, that what we calculate the kg into 9.81. So it divided by 3.2 and 2 into 0.2. So this will gives us the pressure is 3922 per meter square area. So that how we calculate the pressure on the floor. So now, so we already calculated this. So now what we will make, the tank will be filled with the water. So then you have to consider the rho is equal to m by v. Then you have to calculate p is equal to f by a. P is mass into acceleration divided by a. And so what is the mass? Mass is nothing but rho into v. That is the mass. Mass is equal to rho into v. Then acceleration due to gravity g divided by the area. So rho, what is the volume is? Volume is length, breadth into height. Then divided by area. What is the area? Length into breadth. If we L and L can cancel, B and B cancel, then now we got the same equation as P is equal to rho GH. Even we can convert from P is equal to F by A to P is equal to rho GH as well. Okay. So then again I can come to back to the atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure, how they measured this atmospheric pressure is rho GH, and this is 101,325 Pascal is our atmospheric pressure. So that I think we mathematically will discuss. P is equal to rho GH is P is equal to then, so you can up to 10.3 meter you can suck the water. That what is can do it. But we all talk above the atmospheric. Then what about the below the atmospheric? Is also very, very important. They call it as Dead Sea. This Dead Sea is below the atmospheric pressure. Okay. So what is the below the atmospheric? Its surface and the shores are 430 meters above the sea level, and Earth lowest level elevation on the land. It is Earth lowest elevation on the land. So here it contains the more salt water, good for health and salt bath. And here you can feel that your atmospheric pressure difference in this area. So it is the Dead Sea, means it is below the level of the sea, and because of the below the level of the sea, the pressure will be rise up. So the pressure in the Dead Sea is 106,112 Pascal. Okay, and this Dead Sea comes in the close to the Jordan, and they will call it as the Dead Sea because it is coming down the earth, and it contains the more salt water, and this naturally the breathing animals cannot be alive in this, so that reason they call it as the Dead Sea, as well as the pressure. So if you are going deeper inside the sea, so if you are going deeper inside the sea, suppose if your submarine is going inside the sea, so you can see that what the pressure, how much of the pressure is acting on the hull of the our submarine. So you can see that pressure on the hull. So this is the hull, and here it should be maintained atmospheric pressure because the people are staying inside, so they have to maintain atmospheric pressure. But the very difficulty is maintain the pressure on the hull. That should be very stronger. Hull should be very strong. Why? Because if you take the sea level, what is the pressure? The pressure is 101,325 Pascal. So we will call it as atmospheric pressure, or in the sea level it is atmospheric. And if you are going deeper, then it is rho GH. So again you have to be consider the depth. So I took as the sea water density into 9.81 into 20 meter. So they are going as, it's not mm, it is 20 meter. So 20 meter if you go down, so it is acting 3.02 bar pressure is acting on the hull of the submarine. See, if you are going deeper in the sea level, if you are going to the below the sea level, pressure will be increases. So that reason the Dead Sea, the pressure is 106,325 Pascal, and if you are going down to the earth is is also a important factor of the pressure inside the sea level, below the sea level. Okay, then how to measure above atmospheric, how to measure the below atmospheric pressure is a very important. We only talk about, okay, sea level or atmospheric pressure. Then what do you think if it is goes above the atmospheric, if it is below the, or it is falls below the atmospheric pressure, then how we can measure it? So to the measuring the pressure measurement, so they cleanly made a graph. So first they call it as absolute pressure. So this absolute pressure line, you can take it as a reference line. Absolute means there is no molecular movement, means perfect vacuum, means the pressure is zero at all, there is no pressure is exerting. So that reason it is called as absolute pressure, or we can call it as a perfect vacuum. We will take it as a base case. And above the pressure, so it will be reached to the atmospheric pressure. This distance, what we can say, that is a barometric pressure. So it will reach to the atmospheric pressure. So atmospheric pressure is always above the absolute pressure. And above the atmospheric pressure, pressure is greater than the atmospheric pressure is comes above the atmospheric pressure. And whatever you are measuring in above the atmospheric pressure is called as a gauge pressure. So that one more important is the sign is also in the clockwise direction, is the gauge pressure, because it's atmospheric pressure. With the help of instrument you can measure it. So that is when they call it a gauge pressure. And below the atmospheric pressure is called as a vacuum pressure. You can see that vacuum pressure is in the negative direction. Okay, so even it is also called as gauge pressure, but in the bracket they written as a vacuum. Or to avoid the confusion, it is called as a negative pressure, and sometimes it is called as absolute pressure also. If they given me a 280 Pascal absolute, then I should think that it should be a vacuum pressure. Okay, so to understand this, so they made the graph to get where is the, you have to measure absolute pressure, vacuum, gauge pressure and atmospheric pressure. And from first end to the top end, so everything is absolute, what they say that. So if you want to calculate absolute pressure or the gauge pressure, then it should be minus P absolute minus P atmospheric gauge pressure. Or if you want to measure the P vacuum is equal to P atmospheric minus P absolute. Then obviously P absolute is equal to the combination of P atmospheric plus P gauge. So these separate measurement methodology is required. So if they given me a gauge pressure, it is something they given me a 2 bar, then I should understand it is a gauge pressure. And if given that absolute pressure, 2 bar is absolute pressure, then I should understand that the P absolute, they are already added the atmospheric pressure into that. That the wording or should be understand. But my feeling that atmospheric pressure is already there. Above the atmospheric pressure is a gauge pressure and positive sign. Below the atmospheric pressure is a vacuum pressure or the vacuum gauge pressure. Then why the absolute pressure is required? As I told that absolute pressure is defined as a reference where it's perfectly a vacuum, and below that we can't measure because there is no molecular movement and it's completely absolutely vacuum and there is no pressure exit. And even the absolute pressure rho is also zero, density is also zero there, because there is no gas left inside the vacuum, there is no molecular movement. In absolute pressure there is no molecular, then no collision, no wall surface hitting, so the pressure is absolutely zero. But why it is required? But if you see that I want to seal the foot, then I want to measure the pressure, because usually they remove the air from the bags to maintain the longer life, because they want to remove the molecules. in that, or the air inside that, and you have to measure accurately. When they want to measure accurately, then you have to feel that, however, the measurement going closer to the absolute pressure, then it is more accurate because they remove the more air from that. So absolute pressure is that mark where they can measure the negatively. And if you see that aeronautic applications, in that the very precision instrument and the precise measurement is required. If I measure the atmosphere pressure below this is vacuum, it will not work. But if you are going the closer to that area where you are absent, you are absolutely neglecting the molecular movement, where you are creating the vacuum, that time absolute pressure play a very major role. So after this, this all thinking about the absolute pressure and everything. One day, our Pascal is sitting again in the room. He understands all the concept. Okay, the vacuum is there, absolute is there, atmospheric pressure is there. And after understanding the atmospheric pressure, then Blaise Pascal thought that, okay, if we see the atmospheric pressure, if we convert into weight, so 100 kg of the weight on the head, feel that. We easily calculate, okay, P is equal to rho GH, we got this much of pressure. If you convert into weight of the atmospheric, the 100 kg of the weight is coming on human head. But still, human is survived, he not crushed. Because this much of the kg is acting on head, but still we are alive. How come? He thought in that way. And he took that equation P is equal to rho GH, and we calculated the 101.325 Pascal or Newton per meter square, and again the P is equal to F by A. We can calculate the F is equal to P into A. And if I take the my head surface area is 0.1 meter, then the force is acting is 10.1 kilonewton. If you convert, this much of the ton is acting on our surface. How we are surviving? Then Pascal think, and he thought that how we can survive it. And Pascal Law, then he written the Pascal Law. It's very famous. The pressure at any point in the fluid is same in all the direction. This means any object submerged in the fluid, the pressure is acting same in all the direction. What it says, if you take a balloon and fill with the water, and just you are squeezing it, and the same amount or the same quantity of the fluid is coming out, same pressure of the fluid is coming out in all the direction. And even you can take one of the cylinder and piston, you are just pushing the piston towards the downward or cylinder bulb side, the flow is uniform in all the direction. And that reason he took as a one triangle shape, and in the triangle shape he showed that the pressure is acting the same in all direction. Even fluid pressure is acting is same in all the direction to the wall of the container. Wow, this is a very important formula. He shows that, and he says that the pressure in X direction, pressure in Y direction, pressure in Z direction, all are same. That reason, if you want to break an egg, if you keep like this, it's very difficult to break the egg. And even if you hold the egg in the palm and you start breaking, you are not able to break it. Why? This is a very important question. You are applying a pressure on the surface of the egg, This is also same in all the direction. If you made like this, it's really creation of the God. If you are holding like this, you are applying the same pressure on the surface of the egg. Or if you hold any rope, or if you hold on the tube, if you want to break, you can't able to break because your surface the pressure is coming is in the same in all the direction. That reason you can't able to break the egg. And even in the egg also, it is made by the liquid. That egg inside the whatever the contains, the fluid is contained inside the egg, is also applying the same pressure on the egg inner surface. So that reason this is also pressure is involved, and whatever you are applying the pressure on the with the help of finger is same, it's in equilibrium. So you're not able to break it. But if your finger in the downward direction, the pressure distribution will be changed and you can easily break the egg. So that reason, if you see the human body is also made by the liquid. It contains the blood. Blood is floating inside our veins, is exerting the pressure to all the side of the skin in the same manner. The Px is equal to Py is equal to Pz. The pressure distribution is same on the surface because of the liquid, because of our body is inside the liquid, if you think. Okay, so that reason, if you see that the atmospheric pressure is acting on our body, you can see all the pressure lines. But our body is made up by the liquid blood. This is also exerting the same pressure on our body. So here it is equilibrium. So that reason we are still surviving. Suppose you can see the one example. If you are maintaining the temperature or something, so inside the pressure is different, outside pressure will be different. Okay, so if you make the vacuum or if you put in the cold or something, the pressure distribution will be changed, and the pressure distribution will be changed. See the crushing of the body. Even you can see that if you change the pressure distribution, it will be crush. But our body, human body, will not happen in the same way because it is made up by the fluid in it. Whatever the atmospheric pressure is coming in one direction, the same direction it is opposing because of the fluid pressure. So that reason, if you see that astronauts are wearing the very thicker clothes. Why they are wearing? If they go above the sea level or above the earth, atmospheric pressure is very less, but the inside pressure is high and atmospheric pressure is less. Then what will happen? Again the body will be crushed. How will it will crush? It will be expand because outside the pressure is less, inside pressure is more. It slowly expand and it will be blast. But to maintain the same pressure on our skin, they wear such a thick dress which will give the more pressure on the body, which can be maintained or equilibrium pressure, the human body pressure and the outside pressure. So to measure all these things, the absolute pressure is very important, and Pascal law is very important. He said that the inside pressure, if I am a human being, I have some pressure is exerting inside me. So the same pressure should be exerted on the atmospheric pressure. Then only I can survive. So by thinking in all the way, you can see that the crews inside our aeroplane door is tightly packed because it is going above the atmospheric. Above the atmospheric is a low pressure, and inside is high pressure. You can take absolutely that atmospheric pressure. It is below the atmospheric pressure. So in that condition, if you open the door, you will go out of the aeroplane because it's like a suction. And even if you are going your cabin altitude more than some 4 kilometers, 5 kilometers, even the cabin pressure sometimes it will be come down. To maintain that, our human body is required more air, more oxygens. So that reason this oxygen mask will be fall down. These things only if you understand the pressure methodology can you will understand why these all the concept how it will work. And even in the olden days, they say that if you are traveling the aeroplane, if you have the fountain pen, the ink pen, they are saying that remove all the ink from your pen because inside the pressure is very high, outside pressure is less, maybe it will be leak out. So that what we call it as P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2. Even we can see it in the our ink pen, how it will easily work. Suppose this very tricky instrument. I think if you find easily in the YouTube, if you take a glass, you can fill the water, and you can take the pipe out, like you can use your glucose pipes, and in the glucose pipe with the, if you, for example, this will be stand on the ground floor, and if you are going on the second floor or the third floor, and you extend your pipe and just inject a small quantity of the water, this will be break, because as we discussed already, the height is a very important parameter in the pressure. If you are going, if you're injecting the fluid from, you just open here in the ground level and you're pushing it, it will not be break. But if you are taken with the help of some pipe and you are in the higher level and you are pushing very small quantity of a liquid inside the glass, it will break down, because height is a very important parameter. So that reason, if you see that our body pressure is 80 to 120 mm of Hg till measure, and if you take the elephant, it is 185 mm of Hg because it is taller than us, and if you see the giraffe, it is 220 mm of Hg, that is the blood pressure, because of the height of the neck. It should be travel from the ground level to the neck, it requires the more pressure, because the height is a very important parameter. So that reason, this is the giraffe will have the 220 mm of Hg of the blood pressure. So now I think we'll slowly move to the application of Pascal law, and we understand what is actually the Pascal law and everything. The Pascal law, it shows that, okay, they use for the hydraulic jacks. The hydraulic jacks, he say that the pressure is acting is in the same in all the directions. So if you take the pressure is acting on the direction, and if you put a pressure on this tube, automatically fluid will be comes push up and it will be lift up. So the equation, we know that F1 A1 is equal to F2 A2, P1 is equal to P2. So even if you see the small handy hydraulic jacks, so if you they are pumping, when they pump, and the fluid will be moves in this, and it is slowly it will be come out, and whatever the pressure is stored here, it will be passed to here, and this is a non-rated valve. When it is punching, it will open and it will be go inside, but it will not be written up. So by this, the fluid will slowly pump to the cylinders and they'll get the higher lift. Okay, even you can see that hydraulic lifts are a help to lift the cars and trucks. But if you see that I am applying a small quantity of the force, but I am lifting a very big instrument on the automotive. How it is possible? Energy says that energy neither created nor destroyed, but if you are seeing this, it will be rising up. Seeing this, you can easily understand that the distance traveled is more, but here the distance travel is less. Means F into d1, this distance travel is less, is equal to F into d2. So here the F1 and d1 is, F1 is less but d1 is more. Here F2 is more but d2 is less. So the product will be remain same. So F1 d1 is equal to nothing but work done. So work done 1 is equal to work done 2. So here energy neither created nor destroyed, and we are not creating additional work. The work done will be remain same. So what is the beauty of the hydraulic lift? Even the hydraulic lift also can easily work. They put the uh, pedal pressure, when they put a pedal pressure, automatically the liquid will be go inside and it is expand, and it automatically stop the vehicle. And even you can easily do in your home with the help of two syringes, by taking the two different diameter syringe, and you can easily understand how the hydraulic jack will work in real experience. Okay, so again I will continue with a different methodology of the pressure, still we will pending the our Bernoulli's equations, and we'll continue in the next class all the remaining things. Thank you.